Yo, what up? This is the N-Word podcast hosted by two amazing, thoughtful, and creative people. Angela Peoples, Kevin Benat. We are here. Post-election.
Very post-election.
Very post-election.
Wait, is today a month officially? What day was it?
Oh, yeah.
Election was November 5th. No, that's tomorrow. Okay.
Today is the unfortunate loss of Fred Hampton. So shout out to Fred Hampton.
Anniversary, yeah.
The anniversary of Fred Hampton's assassination by the FBI and Chicago Police Department.
Just killing whole community leaders.
That's not completely how we were going to start today's show, but
Here we are.
I think it also aligns well with the elections and the fact that we are under a white supremacist regime, a white supremacist presidency.
White nationalists.
White nationalists.
That's their political movement. They're like, we are them, us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think people should start thinking about white nationalism in a similar context as like a conservatism or like liberalism or progressivism. Like it's a
voting bloc. Or
a voting bloc. You know, you could say like political ideology, set of like there's policies, which I think is separate from the culture of white supremacy. But yeah.
Totally, but still just terrible. Yeah, still just terrible. Still very, as I still grapple with my post-election thoughts. It's just still a reality that people voted for and consented for white supremacy in such a strong and pungent way. Especially the people that, I don't know, can't articulate that themselves. Like the people who are like, what do you mean I voted for white supremacy?
You're like, surprise.
Right. I have a lot of thoughts, feelings, emotions, reactions about those people.
Yeah. I think I've been thinking a lot because like we're basically a month out now. And I've been thinking a lot about recently about misinformation, and I kind of wanted a different way to talk about it, another word, because I feel like misinformation, it just feels like just a little bit too gentle and not quite as maniacal and like deviant and intentional as it is. Like, it's a strategy to take the truth, flip it and hide it, flip it and reverse it, in a way that like, and with social media and our digital environment, like it's really, there's many reasons why the election results are what they are, but I think I've just been thinking a lot about, like, to your point about the people who voted for Trump and his party.
Specifically don't realize the emphasis on their vote being casted for white supremacy.
Yeah. And I think it's because there is not another story. Like, there is not, like, misinformation is a thing, but, like, it has been, really harmful for our ability to like navigate truth. But I also think that one of the reasons like why we're here where we are is because there, even the alternative party or the other parties are still telling a story that is a version of white supremacy. Mm-hmm. It's just a much more varied, if you will, in terms of like where people can fall. But it still has whiteness at the center, and the cult, that power being maintained, and even with a black person who could potentially be the president. And so because people don't have anything else to even consider as a possibility, we're not even talking about an alternative. It's just the same shit. And people are like, well, if it's the same shit, might as well do what looks like a better option.
I think that's right. I also think that for your everyday American, everyday voter, I don't know if they see it in the framework of stories. Mm-hmm. I think because if you're able to walk into this past election and see it as this story is option A, this story is option B,
people make different decisions.
I would strongly assume that people would make different decisions.
I agree.
Because at that point, you're able to see the villains, see the quote-unquote heroes. Mm-hmm. I think it is true that people are like, well, both these options are pretty much... I think there's this like, let's try something new type of energy. I think there's also this reality that like you might have a lot of people that are upset with Democrats, that are, frustrated and like worn out with the Democrats.
Totally.
Almost like a friend or an ex that you're just like, I'm actually exhausted.
Enough of you.
And like, you have made it so easy for me to walk away.
Uh-huh.
And
100%.
I think it's strongly that. Plus, people unable to just do research. Mm-hmm. Unable to like take a sentence, take a subject, and then do their own research to come to a conclusion about like, what is it left or is it right?
See, I don't think it's the lack of an ability to do research. I think it's that last part where you said, then discern, then make a decision. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not, and even when we are trying to discern, it's like there's just. I think it's the decision making, the critical thinking. I mean, I think because there is this whole do your own research, and I think there is a element of like, yeah, people do look it up. They do their own research because people want to be like some subset of people. I'm thinking specifically about like black people and people of color who would vote for Trump because they're like, forget the Democratic Party. I did my own research. But then like the information that you get, we're not actually processing it through a filter that's not white supremacist, if that makes sense.
I think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I still strongly believe that niggas don't know how to do research.
I think that's true.
And because the fact that you could vote for the fact that you could have a wife, black, white, Indian, whatever you want to say, and you all are building a family, you have one child, and you're, thinking about having more kids, but you vote for Trump. That's wild. And then you live in like Florida or somewhere in the South. That's insane. The fact that you have people that could vote for Trump and be like, the economy, taxes, but you're nowhere near the tax bracket of those people that will get the breaks, the cuts. again, strongly pointing towards niggas don't do research. The fact that you could...
But was that information even available? I'm not saying it wasn't available,
No.
but I feel like...
I think this is that moment where it's kind of hard to hear the how we got here, which is like...
I'm just saying, because I'm also thinking back to the episode that we did before the election, where I was like, even, some of these down ballot races, like, I don't even know who I'm voting for. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm very politically engaged. So like, it's like, I do 100% agree that people don't know how to do research. And I think that it's also people don't have time. People don't have access to the right information, like all of those things. Right.
I think there's definitely a difference between people don't know how to do the research and people aren't enthusiastically excited about doing the research.
Sure.
I think looking back at our decisions on some of the down ballot races and how we got there, I'm like, yeah, there's a ton of shit going on in our lives. We're doing this, we're doing that, we're trying to do this, we're trying to do that. We got kids. And then, for the most part, it's like, okay, yes on XYZ.
And that's it.
That's it, period, the end.
Everything else, who knows?
Who the fuck, whatever, whoop-de-whoop. But then we get there, and it's like, oh, shit. Should I pull out my phone?
Yeah.
Should I? So in a way, I know I can certainly look at how I got there and be like, yeah, I could have totally made time to do more research.
Yes, and?
Totally. Yes, and, niggas is busy. But I think in a lot of ways, I'm criticizing myself as well.
For sure.
Because it's like, I am in the political gym. And what I mean by that is like, all of this shit is somewhat new to me. And I'm building my strength, building my endurance, my stamina to be able to do this better and better and better. Period, the end. So I do like the fact that in this conversation we got here because it feels very thoughtful and also like, yeah, nigga, I could be doing more research too.
Yeah, I think the other challenge is that something that I've been thinking about is like, how did we, I didn't do a ton of GOTV work or anything like that for this election cycle. This is like the first election cycle in 7 years or something like that where I was not on a campaign. But I did volunteer to do some calls, and the people that I did talk to. Thank you for your service, Angela. The 7+ years of service to our country. Just to interject really quickly, the fact that we look at soldiers and niggas in the army and and it's like 2 seconds into knowing that they, oh, you're someone in the army, you're da-da-da-da-da. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. How do you know this person did well? How do you know that this person did right by this country? It's all about the narrative in this story. Yeah, how do we know they did right by anybody? By anybody. Like, how do you know that they didn't just join the army to finesse shit? That tried to save this damn democracy year after year after year. We should be able to board the plane first. Point is, every time you see a black woman cooking up, doing work, you should be looking at that black woman and saying, thank you for your service. Facts. Apologies. No, appreciate the interlude. I did make some phone calls. I talked to very few people, but the people that I did talk to were young, and they were like, one person was like, I'm not voting. I was like, why? He's like, I want to stay clean. I was like, clean? You want to stay clean? Like every time they voted, the people who are voting are dirty, or like voting is dirty, like morally dirty. I was very I tried to ask questions, but I was also just like, I want to stay clean, like neutral, kind of like, and I'm just like, damn, like, I know people have been saying for the last, like, decade, this is the most important election of our time.
Every year.
But, like, damn, this one was really important.
Nah, this one, this was like, this is like the last Super Bowl.
This one was, like, super important.
This was literally the NFL being like, all right, after this year, we're shutting down. So this last Super Bowl.
This is the last time.
Y'all niggas should really want to win this last Super Bowl.
And I'm like, and so that's like one of the things, because one of the things we were going to talk about is like what the next 4 years are going to look like. And part of what one thing I want to say is like, I think I know for me, I'm thinking about this as like less about the next 4 years. Cause like, I think we should be honest that it's a question mark if Trump leaves office in 4 years.
Like if he leaves before?
No, like if his term is up, if he's like, right. Yes, and now I will let there be an election and I will honor the results. Even though he can only run twice, according to the Constitution, and even though like he's gonna be like damn near 90 at that point, I just think we shouldn't put it past him or his party. Okay, that's one. Two, even if there is this is over in 4 years, or let's say best case scenario in 2 years, there's a big shift in the House and the Senate. Democrats win, that could be helpful. And they're able to like stop his agenda. Mm. The things that they're going to do are going to have decades long impacts. Like, we're not going to be able to fix it, turn the ship around, let alone go forward from where we are right now for a long time. And so I think that is a very hard truth and challenge, but it's also an opportunity. Yeah. In that, like, things are going to get real chaotic, at least in certain sectors, in certain situations, in certain areas. Mm-hmm. Even if like they're only able to do a few things, even if they get tied up in the courts, like things are going to get kind of crazy. And that can be an opportunity because a lot of things, wait, before I say that, I do want to say like that chaos is also going to, we need to prepare ourselves, try to protect our families and our communities, figure out how to keep each other safe, because it's also going to cause a lot of harm. So I don't want to speak so much on the opportunity by also not acknowledging the like challenges. But I think the opportunity is in one, how we meet those challenges, and two, in this way that like, a lot of the institutions that just like make things slow, make it hard for us to feel the impact of policy changes. Like, the fact that, people are like, forgiving student debt is wildly popular politically and, is something that the government has been trying to do in different ways, but it's just slow, it's stuck, and then it gets tied in the courts. Like, that type of stuff, as the chaos, there could be opportunities to like really move things around, or like how slow it takes to get things approved for schools and get money to cities and stuff like that. Like, there might be ways to move a little bit as things are chaotic. There are opportunities to like build new things that are better, more efficient, more effective than the stuff that was established in the 80s and the 70s in the 90s, that's just an infrastructure that is not useful for our time.
Well, a couple of things, because I definitely don't want to spend too much of our time talking about the elections, because fuck that. One thing I'm hopeful for.
I think you sing in almost every episode.
Well, if that's the case, I hope y'all niggas is listening. Give me a contract, because I'll bust the fucking tune. Go
ahead. All right.
What did homie from Real World say?
David. Scooter booey dooley. Oh, this song?
Baby,
Come on, be my baby
come
tonight.
on, be my baby tonight.
All right, let's.
Okay, but yes, one thing I'm hopeful for in this very chaotic, very unstable, very unpredictable next 4 years that we will likely experience. Very selfishly, I'm hopeful for people that want to fight back, the organizations that want to fight back. I'm very selfishly hopeful that they give people like us resources
Word.
to help fight back, as we've done in the past,
Facts.
as our record will show. But nah, I feel like it's time for bigger ideas.
Definitely.
I think it's time for, people to try different things. Stop fucking with pollsters and data niggas who don't have the capacity to actually envision a world where like white supremacy is not the only choice.
Amen.
Bring people into this space who might make you uncomfortable but still get the job done. Yeah, I'm very hopeful that the world of unapologetic Black culture could get amplified, and people could gravitate more towards this home base, this very fruitful, very substantive, very accessible and very inclusive home base, turf. So that's one thing I'm hopeful for. Territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I also am hopeful that more people will start to get serious about disrupting white supremacy as a thing that's not just about racism or anti-blackness, but is like a thing that is, or even xenophobia, right? It's a thing that is, it's an ideology, it's a way of thinking, it's a programming, right, that we all have. And, people are like, how could these young men, how could these men of color, how could these women of color? We have the programming in us. All of us do, right? It's a part of growing up in the United States, right? Or living in the United States, so-called, right? Like
the American dream.
You right? Like we have the programming. So some of us are like more in it than others, less than others. And like, it's not hard to tap into different levels of that programming if you have the right message. And also you can undo it. You can reprogram, right? And I think that really needs to be done on a long-term scale if we're going to turn the ship and also hit hyperspeed to move forward. The crises can create opportunities, like the pandemic created opportunities for people to try new things. The uprisings create opportunities for folks to try new things, challenges, opportunities, lessons, right? We have these lessons learned. Let's take them and actually do some like significant systematic work, not just the like symptomatic. I'm saying systematic, not just on the symptom level, right? And I think that elections and policy fights are often ways to address the symptoms, which can be important, but we have to get the deep cultural work going in a much more aggressive way if we're going to like do the symptomatic stuff, root cause stuff.
Yes. And speaking of the culture, I was watching ESPN the other day, and a gentleman said, in reference to Michigan beating Ohio State, he said, Ohio State lost to the culture of Michigan. To me, I think that was very powerful. It made me think about the elections, where I feel like the culture of white supremacy beat the culture of democracy. And I feel like that's something that folks really need to sit with.
Now that's a word.
Folks who really are talking about investing in culture, using culture as an organizing mechanism, organizing tool. We just got our asses kicked
By white supremacy culture.
by the culture of white supremacy. So I feel like at this point, we got to be on like a culture freeze. Don't nobody talk about culture until you're ready to step on the floor, for real, for real. I don't know. It just this idea that we lost to that culture is just like, damn.
Yeah.
I got to sit with that, because that got me upset. It makes me feel away.
Yeah.
In addition to some more positive culture,
Yeah.
we had an opportunity to create a pop-up shop at the Facing Race conference in St. Louis.
Shout out to Race Forward. Really great conference.
Shout out to Race Forward. Really appreciated the opportunity to be there. Really appreciated our ability to take a, what was it, like 30 by 10 space, something of the matter, and flip it into our own little
Shop.
pop-up shop, our own little shop. How'd that make you feel? Because I know I have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I want to hear everything that you want to say about it, but it was a great experience. I think one of the best parts was just being able to see folks interact with the art that we make and be excited about it. To hear folks that had been following us or had connected with us, or like, oh, I like one of the other vendors actually was like, oh, I got the BYP collab that y'all did 2 years ago, 2022. It was not this year, maybe a while ago. We're actually both rocking swag from that collab today. Shout out BYP 100.
If it's not clear by now, we make apparel, political streetwear, thisthesouth.com. Check it out. You were saying, shout out BYP.
This was a collab that we did with BYP, so this stuff isn't on our website, but if your organization wants to collab, we're down for that. But yeah, it was great to like, people were like, oh, I follow y'all, or I saw you at this event, or I saw my friend wear that. And it's, it's one of those things where getting to take the online to offline experience.
Yes.
And, sometimes it feels like, when you're interacting with folks on social media and like, doing sales and shipping, it's kind of like, are people listening? Are they vibing with us?
Yes.
And then having that feeling, that connection in real time, face to face, is cool.
Having that connection face to face was mad cool. I agree. Having people come to us in our pop-up shop who were like, oh, like, we know you all, and like, we have this experience with you all. Excuse me. That was just really cool, really exciting to experience. Again, the offline to online, or online to offline experience of that was just amazing. Something that I will definitely never forget and hold forever as a creative, you know, you make things and you put stuff out there, and like, you know, I feel like social media and the internet definitely creates a barrier, and you kind of have to like break through that barrier. And sometimes if you don't break through that barrier, it kind of feels like, you know, kind of what you were saying, like, damn, are people connecting with this?
Is anybody out there?
Is anybody, hello, is anybody out there? Like literally.
You're so good at that.
Thank you. I'm trying to tell you, I'm very talented.
Listen, I mean, we're discovering new things.
I'm here
today.
Hilarious. But yeah, sometimes it feels like, oh wow, like, is anybody out there? And to be at that, you know, at the conference, you know, to have created that space and to have that many people come up and like show us love, shout us out, to have that many people pull up and like buy shit from us that, you know, again, certain pieces, certain, you know, items that we have that like, in my mind, I'm like, oh man, people don't really fuck with this. But then like we go to the conference and everybody's like
flying off the shelf.
It's like literally flying off the shelf.
Yeah.
It's just really dope and really cool. And you know, I'm very energized. I feel like I was already energized because of the election turnout. And you know, as a creative, I just feel like I have to take up more space. I have to talk more shit. I have to like, you know, in these meetings, I have to stand on the table. Yeah, so to have experience facing race, it was almost like this opportunity to be able to connect with hundreds, maybe even thousands of people who like fuck with us.
Yeah, if we saw you at Facing Race and then you connect with us or like are listening to our podcast now, what's up? It was really, really nice to see you.
Pew, 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 pew. Shout out Monique.
Yeah, comment. Shout out a homie Monique.
Yes, Monique.
We were selling the Women's March T-shirts, and we had a picture of the Women's March photo, the original tweet that Kevin tweeted out back in 2017, like, I think this photo is going viral. Can you like shout us out? And Monique was like, you know, she came, she bought a shirt. We were like talking or whatever. And then at some point in the conversation, she saw the poster and she was like, do you know the person that took this photo? And I was like, that's him. Like, he took the photo. She's like, what? He was like, yeah. And she's like, I love that photo, blah, blah. And he was like, you know, that's her in the photo. And she was like, what? And like totally like tripping. It was really cool. And
just a really dope.
It was a nice moment to just like, be with people in real time. And like after so much online conversation.
Yeah.
And yeah, it got me excited to like, just like do more, you know, make stuff for kids, do collaborations, even more events,
even being able to talk, definitely more events.
Yeah.
Definitely want to do more events, curate spaces. But it was even cool to talk to people about our podcast. I had this gentleman who is a teacher. I forget where exactly, but basically he was talking about this like program that he does at his school where he's able to take these black students, I think they're all black boys, and like basically have this program where he's able to like go with them from like, I think like 6th grade. I think he's been with them since like 6th to like 8th.
That's
or like
awesome.
6th to like 9th grade or something like that. And he was just talking about how like they keep running into this issue about like other students saying the N-word. I think even like teachers and stuff like that. So like we were just like sitting in the middle of the shop, just like talking about it. And he's like, yeah, so this podcast is like it's interesting, approach. And I'm just like, yeah, check it out.
Yeah, at some point we should talk about our relationship to the N-word.
Yeah, we should totally talk about our relationship to the N-word, why we have picked that. I'm with it. But yeah, Facing Race was just really dope. Any last things you want to say about Facing Race before we close?
Say not to take it back to the election, but
take us back, Angela.
Whatever, I'm a dork. A nerd, political nerd. This is going to be my soapbox for the next however many years. Maybe it's already been my soapbox for many years, but
you'll say your soapbox and I'll say my soapbox.
Love it. If you're talking about what happened in the election, or even in the last 2 to 3 election cycles, and you're not talking about it from a context with white supremacy culture and system and ideology as a part of it, you're doing all of us a disservice. I think that people want to say it's not all about race. It may not be all about race. It's definitely about white supremacy. It's what this country was founded on. It's what all of the policy decisions have been made since then, including the abolishment of slavery. Okay? All of those decisions have been rooted in white supremacy ideology. So unless we're going to work to, we can't, I think it's about the economy, yes, in the context of white supremacy. It's about gender, it's about loneliness, yes, in the context of, or with white supremacy as a part of the context. Until we do the hard work, it is not easy, it's hard work. We're doing it every single day.
Every day.
Failing, succeeding, in between every single day.
All of the above.
But yeah, it's hard work to unlearn your programming and to program something new for yourself. It is not easy, but it is necessary. And we have to be willing to do that work together. Otherwise, in 2 years, in 4 years, in 8 years, whatever your benchmark is for progress, we're not going to get to a place that our children deserve and that we deserve. Off my soapbox now.
Yeah, my soapbox is going to be about damn, I just had it and then it escaped me. Oh, so yes, basically back to what I said earlier around resourcing and funding folks who are excited, clear, and experienced. That's a big one there. Experience. Resourcing those people to really develop, create, push forward different ways to fight back white supremacy. And I think one way that can be done. Shout out to the boy James Hayes, who is the host of a podcast called What's Good, Ohio. I was listening to it the other day.
Shout out James and Amelia.
And Amelia. James is a very thoughtful and strategic and experienced organizer in Ohio. And he was talking about something that I know I have also mentioned, but I feel like hearing him talk about this kind of got me excited to talk about it, which is essentially moving away from putting so much money into the elections because it's a shitty investment. We put all these dollars towards ads, all these dollars towards these last minute programs. He went on to the extent of saying that we should somehow make it illegal to do campaign ads, and that shit was a very
I love it. I'm here for big
ideas.
You know what I mean?
Big ideas, visionary.
Let's do it.
We need people
Get
to
that shit out of here.
We need people to be articulating these things
to
more.
jail immediately.
But yes, I agree with this idea of yo, stop putting so much money in elections, and it's just generally a trash investment. Mm-hmm. Instead, fund these programs, fund these organizations who can like be consistent about developing these ideas, programs that communities need,
like help people with critical thinking skills and research, and media literacy,
political education. And we started this conversation talking about our ancestor and hero and revolutionary Fred Hampton. I think it's only right that we end talking about Fred Hampton and the programs that he was able to curate through the Black Panthers. He also worked with the NAACP. He also worked with the Rainbow Push Coalition, I believe. Mm-hmm. And, he had the free breakfast program, had the health clinics, political education, and essentially these programs were so impactful to the communities that they were serving that, basically the FBI, Chicago PD, white supremacy saw it as kind of like taking shots at, these systems that white supremacy was able to create, mm-hmm. as if to say that we don't need white supremacy, we can create an alternative system.
Ooh, an alternative.
We love an alternative. So just wanted to say that.
Yeah. Move
money away from elections. Yeah. Fund the people that are really trying to do this work, tap into the communities that are already doing this work. And shout out Fred Hampton, who was able to accomplish that. And it's unfortunate that white supremacy, and more specifically the Chicago Police Department and the FBI, and white supremacy took away such a revolutionary, such a iconic, such a substantive hero, mm-hmm. From us. But yeah.
Yeah, love to Fred Hampton, his family. We're gonna be here doing this unlearning white supremacy shit. Yep. So thanks for being with us. If you're heading to, hopefully you're winding down whatever you got going on so that you can take some rest at the end of this year. And we will see you soon.
We will see. I think we'll make one more episode before the year ends.
Sure.
Who knows? Point is, shout out the N-Word Podcast. Shout out you all. Like, comment, subscribe. This podcast is created by The South LLC, hosted by Angela Peoples, hosted by Kevin Banat. We are two creatives trying to just make a world that is not reliant on white supremacy. And yeah, just really trying to do dope, important work for not only us, but for you. Peace.